Yo, what up, y'all? It's one Sir Grove, host of C4, CW, casting 495, Celebrities World Wizard. Ha ha ha. Yeah, man. It's motherfucking Saturday night. Yes, it is. And if you're tuning in, shit, man, especially if you're fucking tuning in on a Saturday night and you're a fucking real fan and not a piece of shit fake fan, then you already fucking know we 495 as a whole most certainly appreciate you. That is you. Yeah, man. So what the fuck is the dealio? All right, let's check sensors. Says 85. I don't know, man. Sensor's been a little wacky for the past month. I mean, shoot. It's nighttime. I mean, it's fucking dusk. And, it's beyond dusk. But, yeah, man. Weather's alright. Now, earlier today, the weather was fucking stupid. Totally fucking stupid. Yeah, but now it's alright. Now it's cool. It's cooling down a little bit and shit. So let's get into it, man. Fuck the rigmarole. Fuck the lingo. Fuck the dumb shit. The Philadelphia motherfucking goddamn experiment. Man, back in the day, man, if a nigga got too close to some military government shit, man, they'd set a nigga up for real. That's exactly what the fuck happened. Because look, man, shit. So where do we begin? Alright, let's start with the Mandela effect. Mandela effect, DSI analyze. You already know that the Mandela effect is for real. I know because, shit, man, I studied science at the university. And I fucking know what I remember. So I don't need some piece of shit idiot telling me that I have false memory about some shit that I remember from motherfucking childhood. There's no question about the shit that I fucking remember. Okay? And I've explained it time and time again. I work in audio, right? I fuck with audio, signals, sounds, engineering, music, right? Underground, above ground. I've been doing fucking music. I've been doing sounds since I was like 8.5 going on 9 years old. Recording on a reel-to-reel. Y'all know that because I've discussed it and it's part of my bio. Right? So I've been experimenting, playing around with fucking sounds ever since I was a kid. I grew up interfaced with TV in America because my parents were both military. My dad was never the fuck around. So I had the luxury, courtesy of privilege of having cable in my household when some kids' families sadly couldn't afford it. I stayed glued to the motherfucking TV. I used to watch, and I was a fucking honor roll student, man. I was a straight A geek nerd. So, knowing what I know, remembering every fucking thing that I remember from the 1970s and 80s, when I watched the news, world news, Ted Koppel, right? Fucking whoever, right? All the big names, Walter Cronkite, all the big dire doom and gloom shit during the Cold War. The Russians, the Soviet Union, and America, and missile defense, and SDI, blah, 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 blah. There was never, ever the word Niger ever mentioned in the fucking universe of humans. Now, you're probably like, Grove, you're harping on that. You've talked about that before. You're missing the fucking point if that's your notion. What I'm saying is there was never in the universe that I know a country known as Niger. That is preposterous. Abso-fucking-lutely preposterous. Totally motherfucking absurd. The country was Niger. And it was pronounced Niger by professors, by academicians, by academics is what I meant to say. By academicians, by academics, by scholars, by the news media. There was Niger and there was Nigeria. There was no Niger. There was no pronunciation of this country known as Niger today. There is no such thing as daylight fucking saving time. That sounds so dumb as fuck. It sounds totally stupid to say daylight saving time. No, it was not always and forever daylight saving time. No, it was never daylight saving time. I studied science, am a fucking geek, nerd, and I read entire encyclopedias. There was never anything known as daylight saving time. It has always and forever in the textbooks been daylight savings time, and that is what everyone has always said. So, now, we've discussed that before. Let me go to the next level with this. If the Mandela effect were fucking fake, which some people who are asleep and who aren't truly really fucking woke like they think they are, if the Mandela effect were not fucking for real, then why would the executive at D-Wave, the Canadian company that created the world's first publicly known working quantum computer, why would he go on record in front of a global audience and say openly, because you know he's not an insane person, you know he's not a fucking crazy man, you know he's not out of his mind, his company built the world's first working quantum computer that is purchasable. For those of you who don't know that quantum computers already exist, and they've been in existence for a long time now, relatively speaking. Why would he go on record in front of a global audience and clearly indicate that when quantum computers process information, that process takes place in another universe and then comes back to this universe? And when it does that, it alters the fabric of this universe, this reality? Do you think these people are nuts? Do you think that these people are just making this shit up? He said it deadly fucking seriously. And that's exactly what the fuck it does. Before they built D-Wave, we knew what quantum entanglement was and is. And we understood quantum qubit processing on the theoretical level, at a theoretical level. We knew that it processed in some other unknown universe and then returns to our universe. We knew that before D-Wave ever even fucking made the thing that the military now uses, and that Google now uses, and that DARPA now uses. That's right. DARPA, the military, NSA, Google, Alpha, that is the Alpha company, Alphabet, uses quantum computers. And those quantum computers change the very fabric of this known universe. Have you ever had someone tell you that they were going to send you a text message or an email, and before they actually physically sent it, you received it? Do you know what I'm talking about? Because it's already set in motion in the real world matrix, and they tell you that they're sending the message, and you've received it before they actually even send it. You think that's impossible, right? Those of you who don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So check this out. Go online, look up D-Wave, and look up the documentary empirical knowledge, that is empirical evidence, data that show, that prove irrefutably that quantum computers change the fabric of reality around us. Now, let's scale that up. Let's scale that up to the CERN level. Well, what a coincidence. CERN happens to be using quantum computers. I'm not talking about the Large Hadron Collider itself being a quantum computer, but it is. But what I'm saying is that CERN uses D-Wave. What a fucking coincidence. So, did you happen to also see the next part that I'll get to right now, where CERN actually admits openly that it is in fact exploring, get this, those of you who know, exploring what? What did CERN spokespersons openly state that CERN, that is the Large Hadron Collider, is exploring? You guessed it, parallel universes. So CERN is really in existence to explore parallel universes and happens to motherfucking use D-Wave, which is known to alter the fabric of reality. And yes, we're talking about a military-grade, stepped-up, dialed-up, scaled-up, macro version of D-Wave, the consumer product. So, CERN is altering the fabric of reality. We know this to be absolutely true by way of D-Wave inventors' own admission and by way of spokespersons at DARPA and CERN, because DARPA is working on creating the IXS Enterprise, which a lot of people think is still theoretical. They think it's totally still conceptual and theoretical and blah, 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 blah. Those are the same people who don't know that fucking quantum computers already exist. Those are the same people who don't understand that if DARPA tells you that it's working on something, it already did that. Yeah, DARPA already did it. The reason DARPA exists is to figure out, well, one of the reasons DARPA exists is to figure out who in the private sector has technology that is comparable, commensurate to, with what the government already has, so that DARPA can control those emerging technologies and basically shelve them and black opt them and own the patents and take them off the market so that no one can ever acquire those technologies. So when you see DARPA has those broad agency announcements, I'm just letting y'all know, man. The deeper truth reality, that shit already fucking exists. They just want to figure out who can synthesize and make that shit in the public-private sector at colleges and universities and private research facilities. Don't be fucking stupid, man. Don't be shallow. Don't be fucking dumb. DARPA's not going to announce that it's looking for a technology that it doesn't already fucking have. Ever. So that being said, the IXS Enterprise, I've already podcasted about this. DARPA's not going to allow someone in the private sector to create their own IXS Enterprise based on publicly accessible white Jude warp interferometry technology, interferometer technology that you can research, download, read, open source intelligence, and then synthesize it. I mean, shit, man. What if the Russians get access to the information and they build one? Why couldn't they? It's publicly accessible information. It's a warp field generator. Why would that be classified? It's a scientist from Mexico who came up with the concept and then published the information. So why wouldn't the military of any country with money be able to create that technology that is not just conceptual? So the point is, DARPA already created the IXS Enterprise. DARPA's not going to let anyone get out into hyperspace, get out into space, and find something before DARPA. And when I say DARPA, I mean the United States Department of Defense, because that's what DARPA is. DOD is not going to let some other country or some other entity get out into space or hyperspace first and encounter whatever is there and then use that against the United States. Fuck no. So, the U.S. government polices hyperspace. And we've already sent people into hyperspace, and we've already sent people out into time many different times. You should already know that, man. These movies like Stargate, they're based on real-world events. Yes, they are. And that's why Hollywood has an intimate relationship with the U.S. intelligence community. Because then our U.S. intelligence community can help shape perception and control what people think and what it is that the government wants for people to know and not know. Have you ever seen in movies, man, where there's an aerial view flyover of the Pentagon at the beginning of a spy movie? Have you ever noticed how in a lot of spy movies it'll say, tick, 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 U.S. Pentagon, Washington, D.C.? Have you ever noticed that in movies, in spy movies? Yeah, I'm talking about top shelf, top level movies, man. Made by production studios in Hollywood that have hundreds of millions of dollars to invest in movies like The Matrix. Oh, I'm pretty sure they don't get it wrong, man. I'm pretty sure with their hundreds of millions of dollars and decades in Hollywood, I'm pretty sure they know the deeper truth reality. So why is it that they would project into the minds of folks who are not woke and who are not familiar, that is unfamiliar? Why would these Hollywood movies repeatedly show the Pentagon as being in Washington, D.C., when the Pentagon's never been located in Washington, D.C.? It's not in the District of Columbia. Huh. Wow. Yeah, I doubt it's a mistake. In fact, I know it's not a mistake. Why would they generalize? Why would they say, "Oh, well, we really meant it's down the street in in Arlington, Virginia, but yeah, we're just going to say Washington D.C." That's weird. Why would they do that? They're two totally different fucking places. They might as well just say that the Pentagon's right here in fucking New York. It's the same shit. That's really weird. Don't you think? Yeah, I'm sure it's a mistake over and over again. You know, all these people that do all this research, and of course people who have been to the Pentagon. Yeah. Hollywood executives and people with money and people in the military and government. Yeah, I'm sure it's just a total glitch and mistake every fucking time. Okay? So those of you who are woke and those of you who are awake, you get my drift. You catch my drift. It's intentional. You know why? Because they control perception. The average person, layperson in America with a barely high school education forgot 70% of everything that was taught in that senior year of high school within 2 weeks of finishing high school. Most people in America who graduate from high school do not go to college. They can't afford to. A majority of people do not go to college, attend college. It's a minority that does. So the average person in America, for example, on TV, when Jay Leno was on TV on The Tonight Show with his show, within a show called Jaywalking, when he would take his microphone and he'd walk around the streets and he'd ask these recent graduate students of top universities like UCLA, he'd be like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" They're like, "Yeah, sure, Jay, go ahead. Of course, anything for Jay Leno. Oh my God, this is amazing that I'm in your presence." And he's like, "Okay, you just recently graduated from UCLA, you said, right?" Yeah, I did." "Oh, you're a history major, right?" Yeah. Just got my master's degree in history. He'd ask him a question about history that they couldn't fucking answer. Simple shit, too. We're talking about graduates of major universities don't know some shit. So the average person who has never gone to college, who's never traveled, They might just believe that the fucking Pentagon, man, is in Washington, D.C. because they've seen it in Hollywood movies many different times as consumers. And if they go on a game show and they're asked, where is the Pentagon? They'll be like, well, in the spy movies, it's in Washington, D.C. I'm pretty sure. And they're like, are you willing to bet your entire career and your life? And they're like, yeah, come on, dude, no-brainer. Totally in Washington, D.C., man. Well, it's totally not. So, what I'm saying, man, is perception is largely controlled like the movie They Live. So, when you know that, man, then what you should be able to infer, deduce, conjecture, and understand is that since perception is largely controlled and manipulated, that if our government has knowledge of alternate realities, other Americas, other timelines, well, why would it not profit from that? Because if you make a Hollywood movie about it, you're almost guaranteed to make tens of millions of dollars, over $100 million, $500 million. Black Panther, alter, change someone's perception about black African American negative stereotypes, change someone's paradigm, throw in the CIA guy, spoiler alert, who happens to be in Wakanda with the star central character in the show. What a fucking coincidence. Altering, changing, shaping perception. Hollywood's intimate relationship with the U.S. intelligence community. Now, there are declassified documents regarding movies that CIA interfered with, manipulated, changed, doctored, and used as psychological operations, such as Animal Farm, for those of you who knew what I was alluding to. Animal Farm. I said Animal Farm. Look it up. Don't take one Sir Grove's word for it. And that's not the only movie. A lot of movies that you don't know about. A lot of media. The media. So, if our government is set up to pit different political parties against each other, because that's statecraft, and that's the age-old way of doing business to control a society, just like George Orwell talked about. Who are we in conflict with today? 1984 story. You're right. There was a conflict, and who was it? Well, there's that one country, nation, state, and can't remember who, but are we still in conflict with them? It's all the same shit. All these countries are controlled by the same entity, man. So maybe that's getting a little deep for some people. But here's my point. If you do all the math, man, and you do all the link analyses, Terminator, the movie, what a fucking coincidence. Laurel Skynet, real company that exists. When executives from Hollywood visited DARPA and consulted with DARPA, that is, the producers of the movie, were shocked, stunned, and alarmed to find out that what they thought was advanced for the movie that they were making called Terminator, U.S. government divulged at the time that the Terminator robots that our government actually has and has had the whole time hidden away from human purview, because, keep in mind, mainstream society cannot understand or know that what it thinks is new is not new, and that Terminator robots, androids, killer machines have always existed. Have always been there, man. Since the time of the Egyptians and before. Because this planet has been transited by advanced alien groups, races, from other space-time dimensions, man, via wormholes. You don't think they have autonomous drones and militarized robots? You ought to know that they do. I mean, shit, man. The U.S. terrestrial government just revealed and disclosed for the first time in human history that UFOs are absolutely for real. And of course, our government is going to pretend as if it doesn't know where they come from. They're like, okay, so here's the deal, guys. Like, this is gonna sound fucking crazy. Everyone we've always and forever labeled crazy for saying that they believed in UFOs and aliens and extraterrestrial biological entities, and we were like, nah, that's ludicrous. We're using SETI, and maybe one day we'll find some intelligent bacteria a million years from now, but until then, we've never made contact. No, there are no aliens at S4 south of Area 51. No. Papoose, Groom Lake, nada. Not there. Well, yeah, and we also called you guys conspiracy theorists and tinfoil hat, delusional, zany, wacky, silly, goofy, grow up, get a life, grown men and women with these fantasies and delusions. All right, listen. What we were leading up to here, man, was, yeah, man, okay, so we have to admit, we were lying the whole time. You guys are right. You guys were never crazy, delusional. You're never out of your fucking minds. All of this shit you thought was for real is for real. Absolutely to a T. Now, we're going to tell you we don't know where they come from exactly. All of them. But yes, the phenomena are real. And we've been tracking them forever. Don't know where they come from. Well, you see, man, the government can't be fully upfront. It always has to lie about some shit. So now the government is saying that it doesn't know where they come from, which is also bullshit. Because I have documentary evidence that our fucking U.S. government, American government, absolutely knows where a lot of them come from. So, I mean, obviously, you know, space is infinite. So, essentially, relatively speaking, in the context of what our human minds can comprehend. So, you best believe that our government knows where at least a dozen different races come from because we've been tracking them through hyperspace. All right? So, what I have conceded for some length of time, for those of you who know, understand, and follow, there are two different governments. There's the terrestrial government that is staged up, that has no clue. It genuinely doesn't have access to this information. Because at the federal employee level, those federal employees with top secret and above top secret security clearances, they're not allowed to look up certain information on the web. It's forbidden that they do. So basically, the way it works is that it's a trade-off. If you go federal employee and you get your security clearances and you work in certain roles and capacities, you're not allowed to look up information like WikiLeaks. It's illegal. It's against the law. They'll arrest you and put you in a federal facility that's a black site because you violated protocol. You're not supposed to look up stuff on the web. They don't want you to see what's on the web. They don't want you to know what's on the web. In fact, it's against the law for you to visit WikiLeaks because our government, shadow government, doesn't even want for our own employees to know the deeper truth. You got to keep shit compartmentalized, man. So, believe it or not, private sector entities actually know more about the secret space program than most people who work in the federal government. Only a handful of people in the U.S. American defense science intelligence community, I'm talking about civilian and defense science intelligence community. So we're talking about civilian scientists, engineers, mathematicians, cryptologists, physicists, you name it, astrobiologists, astrophysicists, the whole gamut. Anyone who's a civilian working with the military and the U.S. intelligence community, CIA, DIA, DARPA, IARPA, and other agencies that don't even exist in books and on public record in the public domain, and that are not FOIable. You cannot find out about them through the Freedom of Information Act. There are agencies that exist that the names of those agencies are ultra classified, and no one's supposed to know in mainstream society that they even exist. So we're talking about civilians, and we're talking about the defense world, the world of defense, the defense establishment, military industrial complex. So that comprises the defense, the civilian and defense science, intelligence community. So I'm talking about a finite community within I'm talking about a subset of the larger U.S. intelligence community. I'm talking about a handful of scientists that basically run the United States. They're the ones that know about the aliens. They're the ones that know all the ultra top secret shit. They're the ones that are allowed to go online and monitor WikiLeaks and read everything that stupid motherfucking leakers like Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and Chelsea Manning and all these other fucking leakers that you can read about. They're the ones that are there and in place to track and monitor everything that is within the nexus of the secret space program, including individuals in the private sector attempting to gain intelligence on the secret space program in terms of countermeasures, counterintelligence. Groups like Secure Team 10, totally 100% fully fucking monitored. MUFON, come on, man. You think MUFON is 100% transparent? Totally, absolutely 100% fucking monitored. This program you're listening to, C4CW, Casting 495 Celebrities Worldwide, I am a U.S. intelligence contractor. 100% fully, absolutely, completely, totally fucking monitored. They listen to everything, man. Now, there are people out there who are like, man, you guys gotta be egotistical and conceited to believe that, like, there's actually someone listening in on the stuff you guys are talking about isn't that important. Actually, it is. And it's not a matter of arrogance or conceitedness. No. And there isn't a human operator doing it. It's not like there's someone sitting at a desk like the Stasi of Eastern Germany who's sitting there listening in to every single fucking tick of the clock, nano tick. No, man. It's all fucking AI. Looking for, searching for, scanning for, sensing for, detecting for key fucking words. Yeah, and then of course a human operator is alerted if something is flagged and needed to be brought to the attention of the human operators. That's how this shit works, man. Y'all should already fucking know that. Niggas who think that they're woke, shit, they ain't really woke, a lot of them, man. So, our government's been traveling through hyperspace for a long-ass time. Eye in the sky, fucking eye on the top of the pyramid, the dollar bill, our currency, Freemasonry. I mean, come on, man. We're talking about intelligence information that predates the Egyptians. We're talking about Babylonian, Sumerian. We're talking about the Anunnaki. So many different groups. Talking about pre-history, pre-civilization, pre the dawn of humans. And all the shit about evolution is all fake too, man. None of that shit is real. Adaptation is not evolution. Adaptation is listen, man, biologists can say whatever the fuck they want to say. I already know the truth, okay? Adaptation is not evolution. It's not a matter of fucking semantics. They're not synonymous. They're not the same thing. Evolution, the way that we're taught, is not fucking for real. It's not even true, and I've proved that shit mathematically, and my proof is based on the book Darwinism Under a Microscope. Come on, man. Irreducible complexity. Motherfuckers can argue until hell freezes over. Doesn't matter, man. The math is right fucking there. And it's crystal clear, and it makes perfect fucking sense that there's no such thing as evolution. But then, of course, you have mainstream academic, society where all these PhDs are like, you're out of your mind, you're delusional, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. It's absolutely, animals and humans absolutely evolve, blah, 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 blah. They don't. They adapt. And adaptation is not the same as fucking evolution. Evolution, generally speaking, which is the body of so-called knowledge, information that students were inculcated within the school system that's rigged up, is not for real. So, knowing that Anunnaki manipulated human genetics, from what we have on record and from what is known, approximately 66 different times. So humans were tweaked approximately 66 different times and ongoing. So when Anunnaki came here to this planet, the story that resounds and resonates and that is known to be true is that they didn't create us. They found us, and they were intrigued because they don't know who created us. And so they became symbiotic with us and helped in our development because they had advanced technology. Nonetheless, despite such, they didn't know where we came from. They have no idea of our actual true origin. And the same is true of the Greys. The Greys claim that they are ancestors of ours, that they're us on some other timeline. So, similarly, they have been studying us because they believe that they're us in the future. And that's why they set up shop in Zeta 4. And that's why they set up shop below ground. And that's why they set up shop in the oceans and the mountainsides, because they came through some type of recursive feedback loop wormhole tunnel, and they said that they're here for observation, just as DARPA will send the IXS Enterprise through a wormhole, portal, tunnel to some other quadrant of space-time and emerge who fucking knows where, in some other America, some other Earth, some other Milky Way galaxy, some other galaxy, who fucking knows, some other space-time dimension, who fucking knows. The point is, it's not the first time, man, that we've done it. So, it all comes back to mathematics, man. If you do the math, then you have to know that in retrocausality, it already happened. Mathematicians, physicists will tell you, will explain very clearly that it is not fringe science, that a vast majority now in the world of academia, a vast majority of physicists, mathematicians know that parallel universes exist and that time travel exists, and we've already proven that time travel exists because we've sent particles back in time. And not only that, which is just a mere fraction speck of what the public was told we've accomplished, we have evidence and tomes of information pertaining to a pre-existing, before we sent particles back in time successfully, and that made mainstream worldwide headline news. Before that, there are tomes of information regarding our experiments with anti-gravity machines and crafts that we reverse engineered and that we built and we created and we designed based on alien technology that came before us. So we've already been time traveling, man, for a long time. None of this shit is new.